What we do on the land majorly impacts everything downstream.
Watermen and farmers both are trying to live off the land. You have to work every day. You don't know what nature's going to throw at you next, and you have to overcome it.
That's a good boy right there.
Here at Whiskey Creek, Angus, we like to think of our farm as a regenerative farm. We are building soil health through rotational grazing. We fence the cows out of the streams, so we're producing clean water. We're sequestering carbon, so we're producing clean air, and we're producing wildlife habitat. Good watershed management starts on the land where the water falls, the rain falls. And if we take care of our soil, keep it where it's supposed to be, not in the streams, we'll have healthier soils and we'll have healthier streams.
I'm a 9th generation farmer, coming from a farm that has been in my family since 1746, when we raised Angus cattle. When I met Bobby, of course I was intrigued because he's a very cool guy. And he came with huge credentials as being a very cool guy, and he's darling. And he's nice and kind and funny and blah, blah, blah. He's a soil guy. And notice I don't say dirt. I have learned it's not dirt, it is soil. He's a soil guy, and I'm an animal person. So for us to get this working well, I want more pasture, he wants more buffer, and we just find a way to compromise with both and still do what you should do as a farmer, which is protecting the water and protecting the land and taking care of your cattle.
Jeannie fenced off the cattle from the river in 2004. So that buffer is now 19 years old. And we have trees that are 12 to 18 inches in diameter at breast height. We have 9 acres of buffer at Whiskey Creek, Angus. We planted 3,000 trees, and we've been sampling the river when it comes on to us, and when it leaves us a half mile later. We've been sampling the river for E. coli for 4 years every month. And the average reduction in E. coli is 55% in just half a mile. So just think if we had a mile, 5 miles, 10 miles, 100 miles, we could delist the Shenandoah from the dirty waters list. Well, I think we all want the same thing. We want clean air and clean water. We just have different ways of going about doing it. I think people need to be more responsible for their actions. You know, owning land, you have a lot of rights, but there's no mandatory responsibility. So we need to ingrain that into ownership of land, or stewardship of the land, stewardship of the water. It comes with a great responsibility.
Before I went into the military, my grandfather was a waterman down in Sandbridge, Virginia Beach, and North Carolina as well. And so as a kid growing up, I would go crabbing and fishing with him down in Sandbridge. And so when I was done with the military and wanted to retire, I wasn't necessarily in a good place. And so I thought to myself, where was I the happiest in my life? And it was always doing something on the water, and crabbing was near and dear. So I decided to go from helicopter pilot to crabber, and that's what started the whole thing. My name is Daniel Knott, and I'm a crabber out here in Gloucester, Virginia. We're actually at where we work out of, crab, oyster, and it's all part of a veterans program. So we're at one of the houses we're renting as part of the therapy program, which is nature-based. We crab, oyster, and work on the water. We started out with a mission statement of preventing suicide. So our goal was to use water and nature-based therapy to help veterans over their struggles in the military and deal with it to prevent soldier suicide. The only place I found peace was on that boat pulling a crab pot. It didn't matter what the weather was. It could be horrible out there, and there I was in a 22-foot Seahawk battling out with a crab pot, and that's where I worked my demons out. And so to be able to share that with other people and help them not feel like I did is the complete and utter basis to this entire thing. And I guess it's my life mission now. On the boat, working a crab pot, you have to focus on what that pot is doing. You know, is it coming up out of the water? Are you pulling it up too fast? Are you is something, in the water that you're gonna hit, like another buoy? So it grounds you, it makes you focused on the present. And by focusing on the present, then you start opening your aperture. And as you open that aperture, you start seeing the dolphins, the pelicans, the birds. You start seeing the different crabs that come up in there. Are they light? Are they, getting ready to shed? You start respecting the beauty that the bay and everything in nature can do. So one of the things that I loved about the military was the diversity that we were surrounded by. It's a melting pot and a mixing pot of all different cultures and societies put together into one for one common mission. And that's something I would love to see as part of this bay restoration, is to have everybody care about other people's viewpoints. And if we could all just stop for a second, take all of the politics and news and the culture of today, where this is my opinion, I'm not willing to listen to anybody else, and open up and hear those stories. If we can all sit at the same table and respect each other's opinions, we can find a common ground, and we have to be willing to compromise and find that common ground on both sides. And then that's where we'll find the true solutions to anything that's hitting us. The better the quality of the bay water is, the better it is for my life. The more crabs I have, the more fish I have, so it directly affects everything I do on a daily basis.
Bobby White.
Bobby, good to meet you. This is my wife, Nicole.
Hi, how are you? Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Shenandoah
It's
Valley.
absolutely
It's nice
gorgeous.
up here.
Oh, look at that. They're beautiful.
This is going to be a lot more difficult than I think it's going to be. Nope, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that's probably about it. What do you think?
I think it's good.
All right. So farmers and watermen are really kind of one and the same from a personality, from a just a perspective of work ethic and everything else. And so the way the bay works with the runoff and the watershed, farmers have been really diligent with a lot of help from a lot of organizations to stop some of that runoff. But there's still a lot coming in, and there's a lot we can learn from trying to put in riparian buffers and things of that sort. So as we educate people, as we showcase how something way upstream in the mountains of Western Virginia will affect the life down here and how it pollutes the bay, they might start caring about it and taking their own individual steps, and that's when we win.
Good wholesome food here means good wholesome food in the bay. We're many miles away from the actual bay, but we're connected through the water. And when the rain falls here, it soaks into the ground. It fills our streams and it flows towards the Chesapeake Bay. And every single person along that journey has an impact on the water quality there and in the bay. So it's important for people to understand that they really do impact the water. So here's a toast.
Yes.
So that we may learn the connection between land and water.
Voila. Voila.